about, then that means that's going to stop your attack, your offensive.
Don't leave. How was that? Stay there.
Did you know he was sick? So he's been in the hospital for 24 hours with food poisoning, throwing up, and all the other pleasantries of food poisoning for 24 hours. Was in the hospital, brought him home, and we had to bring him back to the hospital. They had to fill him with bags of fluids and IVs, and at one point he was afraid to leave his room because he couldn't stop throwing up and everything else. Did not want to turn down the fight. Still came out and fought tonight and knocked out Mark Hunt. So, and more to his credit, didn't say one word about it in his interview, and obviously hadn't said it here yet. I just came in to thank him and tell him how much I respect him.
Dana, I know we always talk about the matchmaking thing, but he mentioned Francis Ngannou afterwards, and the guy is as hot as anybody. But he's a young guy. Do you think that Francis is a guy that you could see at this stage of his career fighting Alistair?
Well, we're planning something. He's already got something planned for this summer. So, but yeah, I think the guy needs, one or two more fights, and yeah, he could be there.
And can I ask you about the main event? Just your thought on the main?
Sure.
I don't know why he's sitting there. I don't want to. It seemed like neither guy was willing to engage, and both were so very cautious. What was your thought on when Joe Rogan said he thought it was an entertaining main event? The crowd did not. What did you think?
That was nice of Joe. When I was out doing a radio tour for this fight, I said, "You've all seen the first fight. How can the second fight be not be good?" So, I guess it doesn't matter what the first fight was like. The second fight can be not as good. I had it 3-2 the other way. I thought that that Wonderboy won 3-2. One of the judges scored the last round 10-8. So that obviously throws the, yeah.
Question over here for...
What? Hey, listen, man. It's easy to sit in your seats, drink some beers and some popcorn and boo people, man, but they're not in there fighting Tyron Woodley or Wonderboy. These guys, a lot was at stake, and and these guys, fought the way they needed to fight to win. Woodley came out and made some big claims before the fight that we would have a definitive answer on who's the champion and things like that. I like Tyron. He just, he's talented. You've heard me say all the things he is before. You can't be upset if people or whatever now after that second fight. I mean, come on.
Hey, Dana, before you take off, can I ask you a couple? I know that you hate to matchmake right at the end of the night, but you do have, the welterweight picture has now got some clarity, I guess. You have a champion now, but Maia was looked at as the guy who was next in line. Now he's got a fight booked. So do you have any kind of clarity you can give to that welterweight title picture?
I don't. No. I know you don't matchmake the night of fights, but.
This is just one of those interesting ones where Maia had just been booked, but it's just you got to give it time, I guess, and.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
And then also, I know it's only been 24 hours, but any conversation you had with Tony, what he wants to do now? This guy was ready for a fight. Any discussion that you had with?
We haven't.
Habib?
The thing is that he was devastated. When he came over to our offices, and he was as bad as anybody I've ever seen when a fight pulls out. So I'm just giving him some time to, and we'll see. I honestly, to be honest with you, Khabib fought in New York in November, and then here in this fight, 2 back-to-back, weight cuts like that. I don't know if he can make the weight or if he needs to get a better plan, dietitian, something. I don't know, but he got within 6 pounds and was in really rough shape. So. He's going to have to take some time to recover from this weight cut, and then I don't know what to do.
Last question, just trying to get some clarity on something about Ferguson. in the past, you know, when guys have had opponents pull out at the last minute and it wasn't their fault, they've received their show money. But this one's unique, obviously, with the title on the line and a co-main event. Is there anything you can tell us?
Yeah, we've never done that.
So no show money was paid?
No, he got paid. He did get paid, but he did.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
When you said if Habib would have called you or Ali or whoever it was, if they would have called you, can you clarify what you meant and what could you have possibly done?
Yeah, so what would have been different was if he would have called Dr. Davidson or Brianna, the two who handle all the medical stuff for the UFC, they would have brought him right to the hospital. Apparently he was treated horribly at Sunrise Hospital. Shocker here in Vegas. I mean, that's no shock, but you know, he should have gone to Valley Hospital. He should have been with Doc D. Doc D would have got him right in. They would have checked his vitals. They would have, you know, seen where he was. But when you walk into just some random hospital here in Las Vegas and they see the guy and they tell him he's waiting cut, they just start filling him full of fluids. I mean, that's immediately what they do. They bring you in, they stick in the IV and start, you know. Doc D would have took him in, checked his vitals, seen where he was. I'm not saying that the fight could have been saved, but maybe it could have. We've been in these positions before. This isn't our first rodeo, you know, so.
And did he have any, you know, I know he had a bad weight cut, but was there anything like, did they say a kidney failure, or what specifically did they say other than?
No, well, he went in and I guess he was having pains, either where your kidneys are or your liver or something. I don't know the exact specifics, but he was having pains, and I'm sure you guys saw the picture. I mean, he looked terrible. You know, I don't think there was any real damage done to it. You know, when I say damage, I mean long term. I'm sure he's, you know, it's going to take him a little while to recover from this weight cut, but yeah, it just, he would have been handled a lot better if had he called Brianna or Dr. Davidson, you know, because Ali told me that their experience at Sunrise was horrible. Cool.
When Mark Hunt calls you a cheater before the fight, do you feel that that takes away from the things and the accomplishments that you've had in the sport?
People know what I've done. People know what I've not didn't do. You know, and again, I really feel positive. I'm an optimist. You know, I think his whole avenue was pretty negative from the get-go. And then I'm talking about the lawsuit towards UFC and complaining and clearly stated I would have never taken the same avenues. I would never, yeah, I don't know. I'm more a guy I would phone, make an appointment, I come in, and I talk about what's going on, and you come to a resolution. I thought his whole demeanor was pretty negative, and yeah, I'm not going to continue with that negativity. I keep it positive. I look at my own situation, I look at my own position. You know, I put in a lot of work for this fight. And again, at the same time, I respect Mark Hunt because he's a champion, and I love his fight style. We're okay outside of the octagon, but I didn't want to get drawn in that negativity.
Alistair, just right in front of you here. It sounds like.
But I did give him that look. I'm gonna whoop your ass in the weigh-ins. He knows that.
There you go. And just from Dana's comments there, it sounds like that Francis Ngannou fight is not an option for you next. Derek Lewis is another guy that called out the winner of that. Does that interest you as well, or if not, Francis, what else is out there?
Well, I'm open to fighting Francis. I'm open to fighting Derek Lewis. I'm open to fighting the winner, JDS Stipe, if JDS wins, because that's a little bit more logical step to me, and it needs to make sense. So we're gonna wait and see. We're gonna wait and see what's being on the table. I know that UFC's coming to Holland, I think, sometime this year, sometime. So very excited about that, and we'll see. We'll see. I'm just gonna make sure not take too long a time off, get back in the gym, and get better than I was yesterday.
Who do you think?
I thought it was interesting that afterwards, you know, you kind of suggesting, you know, it's not over yet. We're not done yet. Do you feel like people were kind of writing you off after the loss?
People are always writing me off. Yeah, what can I say? What can I say? I mean, maybe it has to do with my longevity career. It's been 24 years training and competing. But I don't know, I just love fighting. I love the UFC. The UFC is truly the best promotion I ever fought for, and I've had a couple in those 24 years. They're doing a great job promoting us, the fighters, but promoting the sport worldwide in a proper way. And yeah, I'm very happy to be part of it.
And last for me, you've mentioned the name Francis Ngannou a couple times. Curious why that one's interesting to you, because of course, he looks like the dangerous young guy right now, the up-and-comer, and, would try to make a name off you. I don't know how much you would get off him, and he looks like a really dangerous guy. So why is that a guy you want to fight?
Well, I like to test myself. I believe that every opponent makes me better. And I don't know, he mentioned my name, and I was open to the idea. I was like, hey, wait a minute, somebody wants to fight me. I never back down from nobody who wants to fight me. That's one. And number two, of course, Francis is there. I would never, if that's going to happen, it's great. But I'm also going to be looking for that other fight, of course, championship fight, JDS versus Stipe. Two great athletes, two tremendous fighters. I really loved that first fight. It was back and forth and a very tough fight for both. But as if JDS would win that one, I could see a rematch there too. Me and JDS.
Alistair, a lot of the work in the fight was done up against the cage. Mark Hunt was able to land a few short elbows before you knocked him out. Was there anything in that clinch in terms of you having to make any types of adjustments, or was it just waiting for the opportunity to land those knees?
Well, again, I remember from my first fight with Mark, the guy is durable, but above all, he's very strong. He has that one punch knockout power. So that's something that's constantly in your mind. You gotta, before you know it, you're waking up in the locker room and it's done.